Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I'm very excited to do this live today with you because it's been a while, guys. It feels like I'm doing a live every day, but those lives that I've been doing with other people, they are not as exciting as just talking to you guys. For some reason, it's quite interesting. And thank you so much for those who are joining in. I will soon start rambling, or not rambling, actually, sharing my ideas on the topic of going on with your art, whatever that art might be. And of course, for many of you, it's photography, or maybe even fine art photography in particular. And going on with your art despite what is going on around you, despite the fact that your loved ones might not be supporting you and might not really get what you're doing. And this is the final live of my series. I called this series Art Should Bring You Joy, and you can find other lives on Facebook and also post about them on Instagram if you just put in that tag in the search bar. Art should bring you joy, just in one whole word. So, in the previous lives, I talked about finding inspiration in photography and how to work with it so that you don't copy others. Then the next live was on different sources of inspiration that you can also use, so you shouldn't focus on just photography. The next live was on I actually forgot, people. I will check it right now. So there was also a live on the top lies we keep telling ourselves as photographers about our photos. That was actually a very cool one. And I got so much positive feedback on that one. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead and check it out. It's still available on my Facebook page, which is Dasha Pears Photography, or just Dasha Pears it's facebook.com/Dasha Pears basically. And you go to videos and you're gonna have that there right away. And there are also links in my profile on Instagram. So if you click the link tree, there will be like several links, some of them to my free resources, like free guides to photographing magic for beginners. If you're just starting out with fine art photography and you want some 7 highly practical and very simple things that you can start actually implementing in your photography today, so you can go ahead and download that thing. And there is a link in my profile. And also, just to let you know, next Wednesday I'm holding my first ever free online masterclass. So it's not like a live, it's a whole masterclass. It's going to be about 1 hour or even an hour and a half long, and I will teaching you on creating eye-catchy images with surreal surprise elements. And we're gonna talk about things like why it is important to create images that stand out. Of course, that kind of seems obvious, but still, why it is important to surprise people and how to do it with surreal elements. I will be sharing my top 5 go-to techniques that I use in my images to make them look surprising and surreal. And all of you, when you see my photos, you might think that all of it is just Photoshop. Not all of it has to be Photoshop. So if you're not a huge Photoshop fan, there are several surreal surprise elements that can be used in your photography, and you don't have to Photoshop them. So I will be sharing that during my free online masterclass, and there is a link in my bio on Instagram right now, and there is a link also on Facebook, and I will put a link in the comments to this live as well. But this live today is focused on on our relationships, and I want to share some of my personal experience with you. And if you guys have questions, they are very, very much welcome. Because I think that's a very touchy topic. I will share with you why I think it's important to stay sane and go on with your art, even if your loved ones do not support you, and how actually going on with your art, despite the lack of support, will improve your relationships. And since it's a touchy topic, I want you guys to share your own experiences and impressions, and feel free to ask questions and so on. So let's get on with it. So today, I have some notes here, of course. So what I found is that there are 3 common limiting beliefs, and that I also had myself. And the first one is now in these times of crisis, and of course this is the times of crisis, no one will deny this. It's not a good time for art, it's not a good time for creation, it's not a good time for pursuing your passion, and you should just hold on to whatever job you still have if you have it, and simply forget about all of your dreams. The next one is that I will be a bad mom, a bad daughter, a bad friend, or a bad wife if I take time to go on with my art. And the third one is that if people don't support me, if people around me, like my loved ones, my friends, my family, if they don't support me and they say there's no use in my art, then they're right and I shouldn't do it. So the first one, let me address that. So in this particular situation, when we have a crisis, of course, being nervous is very, very natural because there is a lot of uncertainty. However, let me share some things with you. The certainty that we have on, let's say, we used to have in our previous lives, that certainty is actually very artificial, so to say. Let's take people who have their office jobs and it seems that they have stability. However, can they guarantee that they won't be fired tomorrow? Or like in 2 months? Maybe they have some grace period from their employer. Anything can happen. Nothing is guaranteed. And even if you feel like you have a job and you have stability, that's unfortunately not true. And people just face it. And I know I also was at some point a marketing and communications manager, and I felt like I had that job and I had that stability. However, it's actually very much artificial. And the next point, if now that's again, in times of crisis, if you say that there's no room for creating something, there is no room for your art, then what should you be doing? Worrying about staying safe and like saving your life, surviving? Well, we have a lot of instructions from the media how to do it. Yes, wash your hands, isolate as much as you can. That's great. And then what? Then if you just keep stressing out, if you keep watching the news and getting all the negative information and just focusing on that, that actually, well, increases your stress levels and decreases your immune system. Like it damages your immune system. So it actually doubles or triples your risks to not survive in this situation. And I know probably, okay, that's information, this is not new. I'm just sharing my opinion as well. Probably many of you have already heard from other people who you follow that the crisis time is the time for opportunity as well. There's a lot of things will be changed in the world when the doors and the lockdown is when the doors open up and when the lockdown is over. Like, the world will not be the same. There will be lots and lots of sad things. There will be lots and lots of things that that we won't like, that will be painful as well. Yet there will be a lot and lots and lots of space for new beginnings. And as I've been talking to my fellow creatives in different spheres, I've been talking to also to freelancers and to people who are working with, like, who have full-time jobs, and in the internet industries, in decoration industries, in interior design industries. People actually are being excited. Those who don't panic, they are kind of feeling excited, because no one knows what will it be, and you never know how the situation will work out. And if you stop your creation right now, who will it serve? Who will benefit from that? Definitely not you. So, however, if you focus on creating something, if you focus on going on with your art, no matter what that is, you will feel more fulfillment, you will feel a little bit happier about what you're doing. And I don't know how about you, but I think that any creation makes you feel better. Especially if this is a positive activity. When you create something, you distract less. You are less mad at people. You're less sad. You feel happier and maybe in some point more complete even. So, with that said, please see an opportunity in this time. And actually, this is the time to reevaluate everything that you have been doing before. Like, were you actually happy with your, let's say, job or your main activity that you've been doing before this crisis? If you are, let's say, losing clients or just experiencing really, really bad things happening to your current business situation, maybe it's time for you to sit down, look at everything, and what can you actually do with this new data that you have? Like, seriously, what can you, like, take those little parts of the broken thing that is not going to be as it was before, and just create something that will be more beautiful and maybe more powerful. And if you also review many stories of many, like, celebrated creatives, you will see that they had lots and lots of failures. Some of them were not were not their fault. It's like right now we have a global crisis, so definitely it's not our fault. Yet it's our responsibility to reassess what we were doing before, to actually ask ourselves, Was I happy doing that? Can I still do that? Like after the lockdown is over? If I can't, what can I learn now? What can I change now? What type of new path can I choose so that I don't just survive this crisis, but I thrive after it? So, the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, of course, this overwhelming sense of guilt that some of us have when we take time from our families and friends and sometimes, I don't know, parents or kids, especially if you're a parent. I can totally relate to that. Like, oh, I need to be a good mom, I need to be a good dad, and I have to be with my family. And it just doesn't feel fair when you take time off your family time and begin creating something that doesn't necessarily bring you profit at this point, and you don't have anything to justify it with, right? When you're like, they're asking, does it bring you money? And you say no, and they're like, oh, then why are you doing this? I've been in this situation for so many times, guys. Like, if that sounds familiar, please send me some, I don't know, hugs, maybe, because I know I'm not alone. I definitely, I am already changing. That's a good question, but I am already changing everything that I'm doing. I'm reassessing my marketing strategies, how I do this, but let me get to that a little bit later. And before that, I want to finish my point about your sense of guilt that you might have. But I want you to look at this from this perspective. When you take that time, again, you will feel more fulfilled and much less grumpy than if you spend all of your time with your, let's say, kids or family. And again, let me give you a personal example. When I was, for some extended period of time, I was a stay-at-home mom. And I was with my kids all the time. Of course, the elder one went to the kindergarten, but I thought that this is my responsibility, this is my duty to be with them all the time. But when you keep doing that, at some point, your resources, they begin to evaporate and they become non-existent anymore. And you want to be that great mom, your great wife, a perfect friend, yet you feel that you're becoming angry with the people who you're supposed to love and spend time with. And they suffer from that. First of you suffer, and then they suffer. And especially it's bad for like the closest people. And the kids, they will definitely sense any emotion that you're trying to hide from them. They will sense that you're not satisfied with the current situation. And even like at some point, I was finding that I was just really, I was afraid to start hating my loved ones. And that was really bad. I hope that you never find yourself in that kind of situation. But if you felt this some days, like especially when you're in a lockdown, right? And everyone is at home as well, you might understand me. But if you have maybe with your kids you don't have that to have like a difficult conversation, but with your significant other, if you have that conversation saying that, hey, I really need that time, maybe, I don't know, some like half an hour per week, you can start with that, to go on with my creations, to just go on and be by myself and do what I want to do. you will feel that that will actually help your relationships, because you will come back from that little break rested, more fulfilled, and a happier human being, and they will feel it. And when I started taking care of my artistic practices, I became a much better mom than I was before. And of course, that positively affected my family life. So please consider that mm, when you next time feel some sense of guilt. And one more thing, if you're a parent, just realize that your kids, they will tell you that they want you to be there like 100% of time. However, it's not true. They do need the experiences that they can encounter on their own. They do need to have time with the other parent or with a grandparent. They can now talk to their friends on Skype or on FaceTime, WhatsApp, whatever. They need that time, because you are not the only person in their universe, and that shouldn't be that way. That took for like a long time for me to realize, but I hope that if you resonate with that, that works for you as well. And the third thing that I wanted to address today is that often people, when people around us don't support us, and when they say that there is no value in what we're doing, we believe them. However, I want to point out this: they are not supposed to support you if you don't believe in your art yourself, because they have their own perspectives, their own views of life, and even though those people are very close, their perspectives don't have to be the same as yours. And if you are not serious about your art and your creative practice, then they cannot be serious about it either. If you're just believing everything that other people say, and you just just agreeing with that, then you haven't done the work of really understanding how important that is for you. And you haven't done the work of explaining the people who are around you that this is important for you as well. And see it like that. When just lost my thought. What I want you to do at some point is that you can simply, you shouldn't expect everyone to support you. You should be your biggest supporter in this sense. You should realize that you need to be committed to your art and to your creative practices first of all. That's why I recommend do, don't tell. If you show people around you that you're consistent, that you are really interested, that this is really, really important to you, then hopefully they will realize that as well. And if they don't, then probably you have to reconsider your relationships. Because if they love you, they will at some point understand that since that's important for you, even if in their opinion this is not valuable, they should accept it. And again, they want the best for you, especially if you having this trouble with parents who say that, why are you doing this weird thing? You should be doing something really, really smart and be thinking about your future. They're just wanting the best for you. They want you to be safe and stable, and even if that's your husband or your wife, they want the stability. They want to keep you the same. They don't want you changing. And that's okay. If you put yourself in their shoes, you probably would act the same way. Yet, it's your responsibility to commit to your art, to understand that it's important for you, and to start doing it consistently. And when you do it consistently, then people understand that it's important for you. Then that it really matters. And then again, when you do it consistently, you become better at this. And more people will recognize that, okay, maybe that girl or that guy has a point with his creative practice. And maybe we should reconsider. Sometimes it will take people for years. Like, for example, my parents, I think it took them about 10 years to realize that maybe I have a point with my creative practice. So, those were the things that I want you to think about when you don't get support from people around you. And if you do those, I believe that your relationships will actually benefit from that, because you will be happier, more fulfilled person. You will find that means of expressing yourself and your views to the world, and that will feel good. So, okay, I have a couple of questions. What do you feel when you're creating? I feel joy. I feel the sense of flow. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's this very pleasant state when you don't think about anything. You're just present in the moment and you just go on with it, and you feel like a superwoman or superman. That everything is possible, and that it's just life is the way that it should be. Well, lights and flashlights are not the point of this life, and I don't use them, so sorry, can't help you there. Okay, I will just quickly check. That's a cool question. What are you talking about? Instagram sometimes gets very, very random with live guests, but I hope still that my message gets through to the people who actually needed to hear this today. And I want to remind you that, guys, on Wednesday I will be holding a free online masterclass on the topic of creating eye-catching images with surreal surprise elements. And again, I will be teaching you. It's gonna be not just a live, it's going to be like a whole masterclass. I will be talking on the point why it's important to surprise your viewers and why your work has to stand out, why the element of surprise is very important in photography today to grab people's attention. I will also be sharing my 5 top magic tricks that I go to when I want to create a surreal photo, so that you can also use those whenever you want to create a fine art work, or maybe you have an unusual client request, both commercial or a private client request. And we will also talk about some surprise elements which do not require great knowledge of Photoshop, because of course if you're new to this and when you see my photography you see a lot of compositing, and I love compositing, don't get me wrong. However, there are very simple and powerful surprise elements techniques that can be used without Photoshop. So I will be sharing those during my masterclass. To get your spot, it's free. To get your spot, you need to go to my link the link in my bio, and there is the link to the free masterclass, and there's going to be a link in the comments to this live on Facebook as well. And if you go to my website, dashapears-r.com, there is a link to the masterclass sign up right on the homepage, so you cannot miss that, definitely. Sure, use my phone. Okay. Thank you guys for all of your nice words, for all of your hearts, and for just being with me, taking time to watch this and to maybe use the information that I was sharing with you today. I really hope that you stay safe and stay creative. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm so looking forward to this live conversation tomorrow. I will be talking to a street photographer. His name is Sean Tucker, and he is a storyteller as well. And we will talk about storytelling in street photography and why storytelling is important, visual storytelling in particular. Should every photo tell a story? And how can you tell a story through street photography? And we also will be talking about how to find your truth that you want to communicate through images. If you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel, I highly recommend to do that, because his content is simply amazing, and he has lots and lots of practical things like working with light, working with studio lights, lots of things on shooting street photography, working with colors, like face retouch. Like, he has it all there and free on his YouTube channel. I have posted a link to that in my stories right now, so go ahead and check that out. And tomorrow we're gonna talk at 7 p.m. my time, and he is in London, so it's gonna be 5 p.m. for him. Please, guys, don't miss that. That's gonna be amazing. I'm just really looking forward to that conversation. Thanks once again, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow.